Another day in the NBA, and you know what that means here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to hop into the world of the DraftKings Showdown and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there. Boy, one day I'm going to get this intro right. One of the industry leaders out there in our friends at Stochastic, looking at their data and their ownership to see what they're thinking are the best plays. We'll hop over to Beta to see what the best bets are across your pick'em sites and your top your top sports books that are out there. We'll also hop back to Stochastic, run some DFS sims. By the end of this video, you'll know the must plays along with my splash plays. For Knicks Pacers here, the redemption of the Knicks or them falling apart after blowing that last game. We'll find out today. But let's get into it. Oh, good. I got audio going off on my phone. There we go. We're crushing it here. Karl-Anthony Towns, top projected guy again. So basically last slate, you guys know the deal. And again, if you follow the videos throughout the regular season, I do have certain players where my data seems to like them more than others. Projections, way it all comes together. Push these guys more so for me based upon how it all comes together. For Karl-Anthony Towns, he's one of those guys all year. I have no issue being above the field on him. Last time we did a video, was very above the field on him. Ended up with 100% of him in that game. Was a big fan of him in that spot. I think going against the Pacers, obviously a situation where he proved that he can be that kind of player in game one as he put up 60 fantasy points flat in that game, 57.4 if anybody out there still playing FanDuel. For Cat, though, the big thing that stood out in that game, he had 28% usage, which is something where we've talked about a few times in the show. The usage throughout the playoffs for Cat has been a little bit lower. He's been overall at about 23.9% usage. So to see him get closer to his regular season rates is a good thing. The bad thing in that game was that Jalen Brunson had a 50% usage rate, and he had a little bit less court time because of having some foul trouble earlier in the game. Maybe that's a part of it, that he got more shots up because of being on the court a little bit less. But, you know, Brunson shooting that many times, hard for him to do that 2 games in a row. So there's a chance that Towns could even theoretically cap a little more usage than he's had before. So for Towns here, I think a strong play again. Obviously, your big concern is that he'll be very well owned. Stochastic has for 48% ownership in the flex. Captain-wise, they have him at, I'm sorry, that's flex as well. Captain, they have him at 19%. So you're talking about him being in about 70% of lineups. That honestly feels a little bit light to me. The price tags come up a little bit for Cat at 9,800. I do think that Cat will be a chalky play today. Again, the box score hunters out there will see that last performance. They'll go back to him. But he's still a great play to me. I think he's been a great play all year, even though the playoffs so far, besides game one, I feel like it's been kind of hit or miss for him, at least in terms of like hitting that ceiling. Jalen Brunson at number 2. Hard to argue the ownership here at 49%. I am getting 37% right now in my top 150. In terms of captain ownership, he'll be 22% owned according to Stochastic. I got him at 9% there. So I have a soft Brunson fade going on right now. I am 2 fantasy points lower than Stochastic with 45.6. I compare to their 47.6. It's definitely spooky when you see the 50% usage rate. Like, that is a crazy amount. That basically means that he's killing about half the possessions when he's on the court, and actually including his assist rate in that time. I don't have his assist rate handy, but let's say he put up a 25% assist rate. Between his usage and his assist rate, he's taken about 75% of the possessions when he's on the court. It's not really something you want to fade in terms of Jalen Brunson, but he's your highest price guy on the slate. He's 10-6. I think this series seems like it's going to portend itself more to flat projections. You can see here that I do have Cat at 46.6 as the high guy overall, but basically, you know, a 10-point difference between Cat and Siakam. Really not a big band of separation between guys like Brunson, Halliburton, Hart. Siakam really definitely a tier where it's Towns, Brunson, and Halliburton up top. But I do think it's a little bit flatter here for this series than it would be maybe for Minnesota OKC. So I'm okay being light on Brunson. Again, does feel a bit scary, but you got to take your stand somewhere, and it is nice to at least have a stand when it seems like the Sims will just kind of give you flat ownership across the board. Tyrese Halliburton, 48% for the field. I'm getting at 47. I do have him really low today. I have him 4 fantasy points lower than Stochastic. Halliburton led the Pacers in usage last game. Actually, that's not true. Technically, McConnell did it, 36% usage in his court time. But he only played 14 minutes. Halliburton played about 43, so that's a difference there. But Halliburton, a 30% usage rate. Nobody else amongst the starters was above 20. Obviously, Nesmith hit the big threes in the fourth quarter, but he still only had a 17.5% usage rate. So really wasn't getting the ball up a lot. Certainly, I would expect things to flatten out a little bit more with Halliburton here, where just the defenders getting to know a little bit better where they have to go to get some stops in him, I think is a possibility. I also just think Halliburton, to me, with the rates that he's had all year long, I think he's been a little bit elevated in the playoffs more than he probably should be relative to a guy who's got, 22% usage throughout the playoffs, 37% assist rate. He's averaging 1.22 DraftKings points per minute. I'm not sure that holds up, but he's done it for long enough. He did it last year too. So it's a little bit hard to like really full-throatedly make that case. And I am still getting a lot of Halliburton. I mean, I'm with the field here according to Stochastic data. I do think my final numbers is going to be a little bit lower because I get a sense with Stochastic Sims, sometimes they do kind of push you to get some more guys that are their kind of preferred plays in the sim. I guess the best way to put it. I've noticed that a few times when I do these shows. I also just lost my sim for some reason, which why would it have gone away? All right, there we go. For Halliburton, though, I did get him more at captain, got him at 22% captain at Stochastic, 14% is expected ownership for the field. I think he'll be an important play for me today, but I do feel like he's a little bit of a gross play. That's why I have the icky face, the throwing up face in the thumbnail. I'm just not sold that Halliburton's rates are where they should be, and that his price tag at 10-2, like I get it with the ceiling he had. Again, he put up, 55 fantasy points last game, but still a player that, for me, 57 fantasy points last game. It's still a player for me that I think there's some bottom that could fall out there. So Halliburton, I think a good play here. I'm getting more in the field at captain in particular, but I do think trying to maybe flatten out him and Brunson would be a more logical move for me. Josh Hart, 53% in the flex, 44% for the field right now. At captain, I am also getting him at 7%, fields at 11. So softer at captain, more of him in the flex. He is certainly a viable captain play, more of that Jalen Williams style captain play, which if you watched yesterday's video, I was a 1v1 away from winning it all. But unfortunately, DiVincenzo got wildly outscored by Lou Dort. So that was the difference for me there. And the big payday in the big tournament, unfortunately, the 100K up top, though, ended up being a huge chop. And I think 7,700 went to everybody who did chop for first place yesterday. Shouts to all you guys who did. I think there were some names I recognized on there. Point being, for Josh Hart, he's that second-tier player that allows you to perhaps cram in Towns, Brunson, and Halliburton, at least 2 out of the 3, to get them all in the flex. So that's what guys like Hart, Siakam, too, $200 cheaper. Those guys kind of offer you that flexibility. So I get getting them more here. That said, I'm getting Hart 53% in the flex, Siakam 47% in the flex. I am getting Siakam a little bit more captain with 8% there. Fields also at 8%. Josh Hart will be higher projected ownership by Stochastic, or higher projected owned by Stochastic. These two guys, I think, very similar plays at their price tags. And to me, I would say definitely a tier above Anunoby and Bridges, even though Bridges keeps putting up more useful fantasy days than I would have for him. Anunoby, Bridges, Turner. So your big concern point for Turner here, and he's the least owned of the group for me on the top 150. Not anything I did. It's just how it naturally came out with my data on Stochastic Sim. Turner didn't close last game. So that's, I think, right away a concern point. And we'd actually pull up the popcorn machine here instead of me looking at the add more funds version on my other laptop. You can see here, Miles Turner got pulled at this point. It wasn't foul trouble or anything. They just wanted to go to other guys. So they went with a Nembhard, Halliburton, Siakam, Thomas Bryant, Shepard group initially. Then Bryant came out. They didn't bring in Turner again. They then went to Halliburton, Neesmith, Siakam, Toppin, Shepard. So they went small for those parts. Turner got back in for OT, but then left pretty soon after that. And they brought Toppin back in. It's not great for Turner. It seems like he's got 2 guys eating from his plate a little bit minutes-wise, with both Thomas Bryant and also Obi Toppin coming in and giving clearly the Pacers a look that they liked here. And the fact that Toppin as well was a part of that comeback. You can't see the plus minuses because of overtime here. But Toppin was a +9. Miles Turner was a -3. Does see maybe they're a little bit plus-minus watching there for the subs going in late. Point being is that Miles Turner's minutes, I do think, are a little bit insecure. So you can go back there for sure. Just hope that he fights off Obi Toppin and Thomas Bryant. That's entirely possible that Miles Turner does that. With him being 33% on the flex, though, I'm okay to get 14% here. Captain-wise, got Miles Turner only at 4%, Fields at 5% and change. Just not the biggest Turner fan today. I'm a little bit low on him projection-wise as well, with 2.5 less fantasy points for me as opposed to Stochastic's projection. Anunoby and Bridges, to me, function the same play. I got more Anunoby, less Bridges, but I think getting these guys around 30 to 33% each in the flex feels okay. In terms of captain, Anunoby, 3% expected owned to captain. Bridges, 5% expected owned. I'm barely getting either at captain, only 1% for Bridges, 2% for Anunoby. They're not really the great captain plays to me either. I think Hart and Siakam, I think, would be more of those guys, more so if you are going to try to cram in the studs. But really, it seems like I'm not really getting the build here, the pay down option at captain, getting mostly the Towns, Brunson, Halliburton captain is what the builds look like so far in Stochastic Sim, or at least with my data on Stochastic Sim. Aaron Neesmith, big game last time out. As we've talked about a lot in the show, they've loved playing him throughout the playoffs. He's also, played well against the Knicks for a couple of years in a row. So that's something to keep in mind, I guess, if you care about that kind of thing. For Neesmith, though, the big thing to me is the trust that the coaches seem to have for him. 40 fantasy points last game, though. Definitely going to put him on the box score radar. If he were to fail, I think it's more scoring for Siakam, more scoring for Turner potentially. Demhart, I think, playing a little bit better than he did last game, where he only put up 19 fantasy points and 25 and a half fantasy points, 19% usage in 35 minutes. Maybe that could be a little bit better for him if Neesmith isn't running hot. But I think it's hard to expect Neesmith to put up another 40 fantasy point day here. I think he could be a very functional part of your lineups in the flex. I also got him at captain in 3% of lineups, Fields at 4. Still got Neesmith some amount, so I think he's okay at captain, but he almost won it last slate. I just think he'll be a little bit highly owned at captain. Play him in the flex is fine, and frankly, 25% in the flex for him feels a little bit low to me. I think people will chase that a little bit, unless people are really sharp and they recognize the fact that, like, if he really just had one good quarter of play for the most part, but he plays so many minutes and he can't. And again, he's been a great shooter. We've talked about it before. He's one of the best true shooters in the league based upon those numbers. Like for Neesmith, I think that he's a player that gets more owned than Stochastic has it for right now, because data-wise, it's only like a great play. Though he has two and change fantasy points higher for me in my projection than what Stochastic has for him. Same thing for Nemhart, who's still averaging about 0.95 fantasy points a minute so far in the playoffs. He's been good. He's playing big minutes as well. They played him over Turner. That's certainly something to keep in mind here. But Nemhart last game played, I think, just shy of 40 minutes. He played 35 minutes last game. So for him, could certainly earn a few more. Did feel like we saw a little more Ben Shepherd down the stretch of last game than I would expect, though. And actually, Shepherd played over Nemhart for part of the fourth quarter. So maybe if Shepherd gets left out the rotation, and frankly, he should, you could see a few more minutes that ended up going Nemhart's way, but he's a good play at 7,200. I think he and Neesmith, strong plays here, above the field on both of them here, with 33% for Neesmith in the flex, 25% for Nemhart. And Mitchell Robinson. So interesting thing with Mitchell Robinson is that he played a few minutes last game alongside Karl-Anthony Towns. Was basically, I think, entirely in the second half. We go to the Knicks rotation here. You can see in the first half, it was Towns in, Mitchell Robinson coming in behind him. These guys didn't overlap in minutes at all. Second half, though, you had Towns playing in the fourth quarter. Actually, it gets a little bit here, too. Towns playing alongside Mitchell Robinson for a pretty good stint of about 5 minutes here. It was also a run where they picked up a nice lead and were safely ahead. Then they took Mitchell Robinson out, probably the foul risk stuff. So when they started to blow the lead a little bit. So you could see more Towns and Mitchell Robinson together. I have in the past, throughout the playoffs, have advocated to separate them in lineups, because if Towns fails, gets in foul trouble, that's when you get more Mitchell Robinson minutes. I do think you can play them together. I would still have a hard time with Captain and Robinson in the flex, but I think that can work relative to the price tags here, because Mitchell Robinson is cheaper than a lot of the other guys getting rotational minutes. So Robinson, 31% for me in the flex. I don't think it's a captain play unless you're not playing Towns entirely in that lineup. And somehow that means like Towns got real bad foul trouble, maybe got hurt or something. That's where Mitchell Robinson could win you at a captain. But otherwise, don't think he can do it. Think he's more of a flex play. And he'll probably be one of the better values in the slate when we sort by that in a moment here. But guys, if you're watching this video and you get value out of it, and I do appreciate all the kind comments lately, especially in contrast to the trolls I've been getting for the basketball stuff for NFL, but please show some love if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe. It all goes a long way from here. Of course, I told you guys on stream a bunch. I made my promise through the beginning of the year that I would see the NBA season through, even though I was getting paid per stream by Unabated before throughout the regular season. When I promise I'm going to do something, I do tend to try to see it through as best I can. And I'm still gambling on the stuff. I've had really good results the last couple of weeks, as well as we've gotten to this more a showdown forward, a bunch of NBA slate. So it's been a nice playoff for me. So I feel pretty good about things here down the home stretch. Still knocking to the door of an actual first place, which would be nice to get that here to give me a little bow on things. But I'm still going to show up and do the work here every day for you guys. And of course, for myself as well, showing you basically everything I gamble on. So show some love if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. Miles McBride, top value on the slate, according to me. 7x value, 18.3 projections, what I have him at. Stochastic has him at 14.6, which is fair if you do dock him a little bit for how he's played in the playoffs, which the rates have been down a little bit for him. Not really getting shots up with only 13.5% usage, 7% assist rate, barely touching the ball, really. 0.54 fantasy points per minute has also not been very good as his playoff rate, but he has been getting pretty decent minutes. He got good minutes alongside Mitchell Robinson last game. Campaign, I think, produced pretty similarly, but played much less. You can see here, Miles McBride got to 25.5 minutes, played actually 4 minutes and change more than Mitchell Robinson. So not as good a producer as Mitchell Robinson, obviously not getting the center boost that you get for production there. But I do think for McBride here, strong play as a value. I'm getting him in 44% of my top 150 lineups right now. Fields at 22. Pretty big stand on Miles McBride right now as the value play du jour of the day. TJ McConnell had a ton of usage coming off the bench. Don't know why. He had about a 35% use rate in that game. Could be something where it's something to keep in mind here. Maybe he's a player kind of like your Isaiah Joes in some of the Minnesota OKC games. I guess in yesterday's slate, that would have been who's kind of the microwave score in yesterday's game? Wasn't Wiggins, obviously. It's never fucking Wiggins. I guess it was more Dort. The Dort's in the regular rotation. It's not really the guy. McConnell being a bench guy, the minutes aren't as secure, but frankly, if you fade Halliburton, play McConnell, and just play into the fact that he did get a ton of shots up last game, that could be kind of interesting. Maybe Halliburton gets in foul trouble somehow, much like Brunson got unexpected foul trouble last game. For McConnell, though, I think really he's in play, whether you play Halliburton or not. 27% ownership for Stochastic. I have him at 28. I think he's a strong play here, and I have about 1.5 fantasy points higher in my projection than Stochastic has. Mitchell Robinson, we talked about already, have him about 2.5 fantasy points higher than Stochastic. Good play, and you can play him alongside Towns because they are going to play some minutes together. Normally, when you don't want guys in the same lineup, it's when they do directly pull minutes from each other. But if they're going to play together a little bit more and they got good results with it last game, you could see that more this game. Which actually, I don't know if that'd be bad for. Let's go back to the popcorn machine. If Robinson plays with Towns here as he did in this period, you got Robinson, Towns, and Anobi McBride. Brunson was on the bench for it, so that's why. Josh Hart was in. Then as soon as Brunson and Bridges came back in, Robinson and McBride go out. Brunson was in foul trouble too, so maybe so that's actually interesting to note then. They maybe won't play those minutes again of Towns and Robinson together because it's sort of a special exception here with Brunson being in foul trouble. They had to save them because he picked up 4 fouls at this point. Then this got, I think this was the 5th here, if I'm remembering correctly. So they were just trying to preserve Brunson. So that's part of the issue there. Okay. It's a tough call, man. I still think you probably can play Towns and Robinson together, but that might have been a special situation for them playing together. But you get good results with it. I don't think they're going to forget they got good results. Either way, Towns, Hart, Brunson, Siakam all in a row here. Still good values despite their price tags being higher. Obi Toppin in play again at 4,200. He was a strong play last time out, won the slate. Again, if he steals minutes from Miles Turner somehow, that's the way that he gets there. They'll really think you could benefit, given the ownership, playing Miles Turner a little bit more and then hoping Toppin doesn't get in the court quite as much. But 17% ownership for Toppin, 11% for me and my Toppin 50. Not a big stand there as a value. Definitely value-wise, I prefer McBride by a good amount. McConnell, Mitchell Robinson here, getting a lot of those guys, a little bit less of Obi Toppin. We'll go to the game-by-game view here real fast. Doesn't really matter that much. But 109.3 implied points for Indiana. New York, 115.3 implied points. We've talked about every player on the slate already because you saw them all in the views. But I guess basically the main things here for Indiana, 6-point dog. Does seem like the Knicks are the better team, even though, Indiana won last game. I know that. But Indiana, whenever you win a ton of games playing from behind like that, I tend to believe that's not really the truest outcome. Like, really, the results of the game should be more ebbing towards the team that had the big lead. And obviously, blowing leads is a thing as well that, reflects, that can be just the team's sign of a team not being good, basically. But it's happened enough for Indiana. They've come from behind enough. I think it's mostly because the volatility of the firepower they have, the 3-point shooting they have, that it allows them to kind of get themselves back into games. Get Neesmith, 65% true shooting. Obi Toppin, obviously more of a rim guy, but 64% true shooting for him. Halliburton at 62%. Turner at 61. Siakam even is at 60. They have a team full of good shooters. Not quite OKC in that level. If Nembhard could shoot, they would be there. Nembhard just a flat league average kind of shooter. But point being is that's why Indiana really does get their lays because they have good shooters. And the volatility of chunking up some shots late can get them to where they need to go. But if it takes you 5 3-pointers made from your 4th option as a scorer to get there, and then also Halliburton making one of the greatest, most legendary plays in NBA history, would have been better though if he won the game with the 3. Would have been better if it were a game 7. Would have been much better for an NBA Finals. Great play though. If it takes you that to get to OT and win a game, I'm just not sure that you're really as in the series as it might seem, but they keep getting in series, so that's how that's gone so far. I am the KY here. Appreciate him as always in the chats. Is Mikal 4+ assist a go 9 straight versus Pacers? I would have Mikal Bridges projected for 3.7 assists, so you're in range. I certainly wouldn't treat a streak as a thing here. 9 straight versus the Pacers doesn't really matter. If it's plus money on 4, I would take it. If it's not, I probably wouldn't. With me having him project for 3.7. But anyway, for Indiana, I just think they're maybe not as good of a team as people are going to think today. The ownership, though, is going to mostly go Halliburton, Siakam, Turner's way. For New York on their side, a lot of Brunson, a lot of Towns, a lot of Hart. I am the lowest on Brunson. We'll see how that comes up in my final lineups here because the Sims do kind of move my numbers around in a way that is not necessarily always in line with how I play my final lineups. But Bridges, Anunoby, keeping them flat, I think is the move, as I mentioned. Mitchell Robinson, McBride as values. That's basically it. The rotation's real tight here for the Knicks. Last game for them, you had Hart playing 44 minutes, including the OT. Brunson playing 38 minutes, including the OT. Obviously, he was had the foul issues there. That's why his minutes were a little bit low. Towns played 39, including the OT. OG Anunoby, 42, including OT. Bridges, 46, including OT. Super consolidated rotation, even by Knicks standards. So getting the campaign, maybe the one shot you could take here as a high usage guy for cheap. But that almost worked out. Actually, did he make the winning lineup? Last game, he might have. Either way, no, because he got bounced out by, I think, the Obi Toppin lineups. He was pretty close, though, so maybe he gets enough usage to get there for you. Don't think he's a great play, though. And really, that's sort of it for New York. Let's go to unabated now. For you guys who do want some more betting stuff, we'll see what unabated has based on their market-based data right now. Let's hop over here. And, of course, unabated, what we're trying to do is use market-based projections based upon which sports was performed the best and price bets the most correctly to use that data to then price bets on other sports books and find the expected value. So you can also use unabated's conditional projections. Those come out a little bit later in the day for paying members if you want to check it out. Another great product on there, but either way, we're using the market tools here. So we're looking for a 2% or higher EV based upon these market-based projections. You can see here, market-based projection of Cat for 24 points and change. Halliburton only 21. Oh, come on, dog. The dog dropped a bone on the floor and is very awkward to pick this up because the table's like right on my face. Oh, come on, man. Here. There's your bone. Over here. Okay. See what we have for points bets right now, according to market-based projections. Kitty, right there. There you go. All right. Sort this out. All right, wow, really high EV for TJ McConnell. So Underdog just mispriced in this line here. Under 7.5 on Underdog, 9.3% EV. FanDuel also 7.7% EV for under 7.5 points on there. You don't really find market-based EVs this high, especially for a same-day NBA game where the price has had a few days to catch up. So really nice line here. If you are playing an Underdog pick'em or you have FanDuel Sportsbook, under 7.5 points for TJ McConnell, looking good on both. That usage was really high in game one. I do have to say that as sort of the caveat. Julius Randle. So awful game yesterday. Him bouncing back in game two would not be an unlikely thing here. Over 17.5 points on FanDuel. Very high EV. 8.5% EV on there. Prize Picks Underdog also looking good. 4.1% EV. DraftKings actually a rare market-based grand slam here. This Julius Randle line not really well priced anywhere. Over 17.5 points looking good for Randle right now with a market-based projection of 19.1 points. Alex Caruso over 7.5 points, minus 110 odds on FanDuel looks good. 2.5% EV. Those are probably the only points bets you want to take for games coming up today and tomorrow. Rebounds coming up next. Let's scroll down and resort here to make sure we're pulling in everything. Sometimes you got to do that. All right, here we go. Anthony Edwards over 7.5 rebounds, was rebounding pretty aggressively yesterday. Plus 102 odds on FanDuel, about 4% EV for you for Anthony Edwards over 7.5 rebounds. Bridges under 4.5 rebounds you could take if you just want to bet to get in here. DraftKings minus 130 odds under 4.5 for Mikal Bridges. 1.6% EV on there, so around it up to. Nothing else here we would take, though. All right. Why is it locking up? There we go. Assists. Then we'll do PRAs to close this out here. We'll run a DFS sim, and that'll be the end of the video. Andrew Nembhard under 5.5 assists, minus 145 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gets you 3.2% EV. That's the only bet you'd want to take here. Randle tomorrow under 5.5 assists. You could do that at 1.7% EV on DraftKings Sportsbook. Really not the most fertile land here, though, for assists. Only Nembhard under 5.5 assists. It's in the safe range of bets you'd want to take. And PRAs, see if we got anything here. Julius Randle, a lot of EV. Market's not sure what to do with Randle, would be my guess. If he did get benched down the home stretch, but that'll happen when you play like shit. Julius Randle over 29.5 PRA is going to bounce back game for him. Really no issue with that. Same line on Underdog and FanDuel. 5.5% EV for Julius Randle over 29.5 PRAs. Hartenstein over 17.5 PRAs also looks okay. Nemhart under 20.5 PRAs also looks okay. Both these about 1.5, 1.6% EV. Really, the only one you should run to take would be this Randall one over 29.5, an underdog in FanDuel. All right, so that's the betting portion of things. Check out an abated 20% off. Link down below. You guys know the deal here. And now let's go over to Stochastic. We'll run a DFS sim without my interference at all, and we'll see what we get from it. I think they updated things too while I've been on stream, so maybe some slight changes here. But guys, again, show some love if you can. Check out our sponsors, or our affiliates, rather. Unabated 20% off, link down below. Again, a great partner here throughout the regular season. And I'm still promoting them here because they do have great tools for you guys. You made a lot of money using their conditional projections for the NBA regular season on there. But also, they have WNBA going with their premium data as well. Lots of ways to make money in unabated that. Frankly, if you invest the time, you'll probably get the results out of it that you're looking for. So do recommend checking them out. And Stochastic, 15% off, link down below. All their DFS sim data and, well, sims and data, rather. But every tool they have, the cheap stuff, the expensive stuff, it's all 15% off, and it is on in perpetuity. So it's one of the best deals they have. They give to the affiliates, like me, 15% off of everything for you guys as it goes. And then we also split the proceeds that you pay to Stochastic. So 50% of the money you pay to Stochastic goes to support the channel, which is very much appreciated. If you guys do want to click that link down below or use the promo code SPLASH at Stochastic, because that's the only way I can put on the show. And join the Discord too. We're doing the final stage of our sim. $5 to join. You get a basketball channel in there. You can see me talking about my own lineups. I talk about the slates as well. Of course, other guys as well in the Discord. But you can also talk about some NFL with me. You can get my data too if you want to see the projections I use on screen. I update them throughout the night because I'm gambling these slates myself. So you get the Squirt Squad or the VIP tiers if you want to get my actual data usable on the sites, or you can just join the Discord for $5 and get in there and get some more than enough for that $5, I think. Hopefully more than enough. But you support the show. That's the big thing. So show needs support, guys. Nobody wants to watch this shit when I do it at random times for a one-game NBA slate, but I still show up and do the work. That's all I can do. All right, top lineups right now, sorted by ROI according to Stochastic. And of course, what it does, if you're unfamiliar, we built 5,000 lineups here, and then it has them compete 10,000 times to find out which ones perform the best. So the number one lineup according to Stochastic: Halliburton and Captain, Benedict Mathurin, bench guy with high usage, always a good one that'll play in showdowns. Josh Hart, Karl-Anthony Towns, Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell. So the big issue here to me is that you're playing McConnell and Mathurin together. I guess the bench could kill it as a group, but with those guys sharing minutes together off the bench, you are looking at a little bit of a push-pull dynamic. In addition to having Halliburton captain, it's hard for McConnell to find enough to make a lineup potentially, or Halliburton to find enough to make it a captain if you have another point guard playing well. So I get why it's number one. I think there's maybe a few things I would critique about that lineup. Number two, Jalen Brunson, Aaron Nesmith, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Pascal Siakam, Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant, one of the cheap plays du jour last time out. Didn't really hit, though. Got me pretty close at a couple lineups. The top end just beat him out late. Think he's in play again enough here. I think the fact that he disappointed some amount of people, in particular Stochastic users that probably got him in the sim, going back to him today would be reasonable, but he's really, you're getting all legit guys and then Thomas Bryant, so that's not bad. Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nemhart. If you have two Thomas Bryants, by the way, that's when a lineup's probably not good. Like two guys that are total specious, speculative plays that don't get a lot of minutes. You don't want that. When you get entire rotational guys and Jalen Brunson a captain, and you have to pay the price tag of one Thomas Bryant, that makes a little more sense in a showdown, in my opinion. Number three, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nemhart, Karl-Anthony Towns, Miles McBride, Miles Turner, double Miles, the tails lineup. Tyrese Halliburton here. So pretty well-balanced lineup. The Siakam and captain can certainly hit. Halliburton would be in the flex, maybe in that situation. I think this lineup would be more appealing with Siakam, Nemhart, Turner, no Halliburton, because you're basically making a bet then. The other starters played so well. I guess Halliburton could be assisting well enough that he still makes it, but that's fine. This is honestly a fine lineup. Number four, Josh Hart. I mean, I say that like I'm so surprised at the tool that's made people millions of dollars. What a shocker they put out a fine lineup, but it's a fine lineup at number three. I have no critiques of it really. Number four here, Josh Hart, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nemhart, Jalen Brunson, Miles McBride, Tyrese Halliburton. So you're getting McBride value here. Probably a pretty dupey lineup. Zero dupes, no chance. I think this is probably going to be one of the higher owned Josh Hart lineups at 49.8. But you are fading Cat, so maybe that gets you more unique. And Josh Hart in games where Cat fails probably plays a little bit better. He gets more shots up, rebounds a little bit more. So Josh Hart, number four at captain. And number five, Tyrese Halliburton, 2 dupes on it. Means there's probably like 50 dupes. Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Thomas Bryant. So you are doing the double center here. All star players for the most part, paying the Thomas Bryant tax. Like leaving Niners on the table, though, that's not bad. I think that might be less dupey than I think that feels less dupey than some of the other ones. The other ones feel really dupey to me. In particular, this one. Yeah, in particular, this one, maybe this one too. This one they're saying that's two dupes. So, okay. Highest ROI players according to Stochastic. Overall, it's Thomas Bryant at captain again. This was the same case last time out where in the Sims, Thomas Bryant wins at captain often enough because basically you needed his very cheap salary to be able to afford every star player, making it in the flex. You're still not going to get a lot of exposure there, but he is the highest ROI player by a pretty wide margin, a 7.5% ROI for Thomas Bryant at captain. So maybe some utility to very cheap captains if you want to give that a shot. Tyrese Halliburton, 0.4% ROI. For him at captain, so still a positive ROI despite being expensive and highly owned. Probably means he's a good captain play according to Stochastic data. Miles McBride in the flex at number 3. Thomas Bryant in the flex at number 4. So Thomas Bryant, 2 spots here in the top 5. Miles McBride again at captain at number 5. So cheap captain again coming in a little bit in play here. McBride has one in captain in the last round of the playoffs. McConnell at captain coming up. That is a surprise. And McConnell in the flex coming up as well. McConnell's definitely a little bit too cheap. That feels like a trap play if you were to play him at captain though. And frankly, same for Bryant, same for McBride. Your highest exposed flex plays, according to Stochastic, Josh Hart, 53%, Fields at 44. It's about a 9% stand in favor of Josh Hart in the flex. Jalen Brunson, 52%, Fields at 49. 3% stand in favor of Jalen Brunson. Karl-Anthony Towns, 50%, Fields at 47. So another 3% stand in favor of him. Halliburton, 45%, Fields at 47. They like him less in the flex in Stochastic's top 150. Miles McBride, 37%, Fields at 21. So biggest stand yet in favor of Miles McBride. Pascal Siakam, 35%, Fields at 42. So negative stand on Pascal Siakam. And Anunoby, 33%, Fields at 29. So positive stand on Anunoby. Highest exposed captains, Halliburton, more than 2x the field. They want to get 36% Halliburton at captain. It's a big lean for Halliburton today. I think he is a player. I make the yucky face in large part because I really think he does get owned here. I also think, again, the bottom can fall out a little bit in usage. If the other guys just actually get some shots up in this game, even close to like the 25% usage they normally get, 22 to 25, instead of being under 20. I think there's a way that Halliburton does not pay off as well today. But look, he brought the big game yesterday. He did the Reggie Miller choke thing. Like it's hard for me to critique Halliburton based upon the non-data aspects of things. Like I watch him, he plays like a star player a lot of times. He does also disappear from games sometimes. So I think for Halliburton, I'm okay being under the number if Stochastic's going to really push him aggressively to their users. Karl-Anthony Towns, 15% in the top 150 at captain. Fields at 19. I'll have more cat in the field at captain. I know that for a fact. Jalen Brunson, 14%, Fields at 21 at captain. So light fade of Brunson at captain. Still getting him a good amount. Josh Hart, same thing, 9%, Fields at 11. Siakam, 8%, slightly higher than the Fields, rounded up 8%. So they like Siakam slightly more. Miles Turner, 4%, Fields at 5.5. McConnell, 2.7%, Fields at 2.3. Really splitting hairs for some of these. Your most negative leverage, actually your positive leverage guys, Halliburton at captain's the highest one, 21% stand there. McBride, 16% in the flex. Josh Hart in the flex, Robinson in the flex, Anunoby, Towns in the flex, Brunson in the flex are your biggest leverage plays. Negative leverage plays, Obi top in the flex. They want to get less of him, only 8%, Fields at 18. Siakam, you're fading a little bit. Brunson a little bit. Turner a little bit. Nemhart a little bit. Bridges, you're 6% less on. Towns, you're 4% less on at captain. Not big fades. Top and fades noteworthy. And appreciate the chat as well. I appreciate you guys watching. Really, all you guys that leave a comment as well. A lot of you guys are watching at random times now. The live part of things probably doesn't matter as much for these videos. So do shout out to all you guys who are watching the videos on the home stretch as well. That's the reason I do this stuff is because I appreciate your guys' feedback and hitting the like button and all that. Because frankly, the views and likes have been going up lately, even though the live viewers I know are going to be kind of shitty when I do stuff with no advance notice. But either way, guys, I'm going to give you guys my splash plays of the day. Before we run through the plugs one more time, please subscribe down below. Please leave a comment. Please do all those things. It goes a long way for me here. Just one dude showing you my gambling here as best I can and giving you the information. Do whatever you want with it. I think I'm playing pretty well right now, but if you want to fade my stuff, knock yourself out. Just try to give you the case for each thing and explain the if-then correlations of everything. It's the most important part of NBA DFS, in my opinion. Unabated 20% off. Link down below if you want to get good betting data, either conditional projections or just the market-based ones you saw on screen here today. Conditional ones will make you more money because they are proprietary data. But the market-based ones will do well enough for you too if you want to save some money and try to get yourself a shot to get some EV and betting going on, expected value. Stochastic, 15% off. Link down below there as well. All their data, all their Sims tools are available for you, and it's 15% off in perpetuity. And it supports the show directly, where half the money you pay to Stochastic comes back to me. So do check them out if you can. It does really go a long way to keep the show afloat. Check the Discord too. $5 to join. You guys know the deal. You can ask me any questions you want on there. You can also get access to my data. If you join one of the higher tiers, the Squirt Squad or the VIP tiers, you can get access to all my projection stuff as well on Google Sheets, updated throughout the night whenever I update things. All right, my splash plays for the day. Cat, number one, has to be it. I think that's not a surprise. He's been one of those guys for me all year long. He'll continue to be one today. Miles McBride, I think another is a value. I would say McConnell, another is a value. Mitchell Robinson, another is a value. Those three definitely stand out more to me than Toppin today. Toppin won the slate last time out. Does probably increase his ownership more than 17%. So Kasich has for him. Really, to me, the main thing with the kind of lesser-owned guys, trying to balance it out a little bit more. Don't go too crazy on all of them. To me, I never really take more than 50% of a bench player. Sometimes if I really think they're a shitty play, 33%. Cap your bench exposure. Let your teams kind of spread out a little bit more. That's how I got Isaiah Joe on the last OKC slate when you needed him. It's how I got some decent builds yesterday. Though DiVincenzo killed me yesterday compared to Dort. Just trying to balance your stuff out more for really the less sturdy parts of a lineup is what I would say. Trying to get some different exposures there would be a good thing to do. Anyway, besides the value guys, I'm up on Josh Hart, up on Siakam a little bit. I think that's pretty much it. The Towns one is the big one, though. Towns and I guess Anunoby over Bridges to a lesser extent. That's my splash plays here. The Towns one, the biggest one, though. So hopefully he doesn't fucking die today. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though there's always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets. We'll be doing some best ball drafting on the Splash Play Pod channel as well, hitting every site on there. Underdog, DraftKings, Drafters, presented by Drafters, so come check that out. Start time is listed at 2 p.m., but I might go early because I just want to not have the icon guy in every room because he's fucking doing the weirdo thing again. We'll see you coming up in a few hours. I'll see you guys there. Enjoy your days. If I don't see you again, enjoy your weekends. Happy Memorial Day. Though I do think I'll be doing a video on Monday for Memorial Day, so fuck me. See you guys then. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.